Well, speaking of creepy, so DC, right? Not the comics, but the District of Columbia. Um, so I am a conspiracy nut. You know, I do have a tinfoil hat somewhere around here. Um, but I'm always just like I've been to Washington one time. This was like 40 years ago, actually. Was it 40? 35 years ago. Yeah, it was. I was on a high school trip, and we got to eat lunch in the House of Representatives cafeteria.
That sounds like fun.
Did you hear
I
that?
would have loved to ask a bunch of questions to those people.
Yeah, I know. My ass wasn't political back then. I was just like, hey, we're out of Mississippi. This is awesome. Free food. What? That's when Trent Lott was our. I don't think he was senator yet. I think he was just a representative at the time. You familiar with Trent Lott?
No.
Okay, so Trent Lott was basically the Mitch McConnell of the day. Only he didn't look like a turtle, but he was just, and he was pretty much kind of the same kind of Republican, you know. But like I said, when I was in high school, I wasn't political at all. You know, I was chasing girls, and I wanted to get out of town because we were in Mississippi. You know, it's like small town shit. You don't think about that stuff because that's what parents are for. They think about this shit, but then later when you're out on your own and then you just got to start doing shit yourself, then it's like, oh, I better start paying attention to this shit. You know what I mean? So, and then it's sad. You start getting jaded because the more you learn about how shitty the world is, you're like, ugh, why? And it's like, dude, I saw you 5 years ago. You were so happy. What happened? I learned. I learned about shit. But are you from DC? Are you like born and raised or?
I'm born and raised in a county in Maryland that is right above DC.
Okay.
It's I could
Don't give
walk
away your
to DC.
location. We have
That's
some
how
weirdos in the
close
chat,
I
so
am.
you know. Um,
Oh, don't they're not gonna know my exact location. It's
I
just a
mean, you
general
know,
idea.
if you want to do that, you know, just get up with somebody later. But you know, we don't want to get you in trouble because there's. I mean,
Mm.
I love my chat. I love. Hey, Noli D, what's up? I love my chat, but they're all weirdos. But in a good way. Mad Marxist, what's up, man? So there's symbols all over DC, right? You've been around DC a pretty good bit, right? Besides,
Yeah,
ch- yeah,
I was gonna
besides
say I'm
chasing
noticing
Congress
that now.
people, right? So you
Yeah.
know we're all like, you know, do you know anything about 33? Wait a minute, 33rd degree Masons? Any of that kind of like rabbit hole shit?
I'm not too deep into that rabbit hole. Maybe my friend Shadowban knows more about that.
Oh yeah.
But you mentioned the symbols. That's something that I'm noticing more now. I didn't notice it before. I've been to DC countless times since I was a kid because I'm like right by here. But it's creepy noticing it now, like years later, like what like 2 decades later after going to DC and seeing these statues and stuff, and you're like, hold up, why is this the OAS building? Why does it look like South America? Like the statue that's representing South America, why does the lady look like she's on the defense? And then the North American statue, the lady looks like she's on the offense. And it's
Mm.
like that all over the place. I'm not too informed about what the meaning is behind them. And
Yet,
like I discussed with Marcus and Shadowban when I had them on as guest, and Chris from the Political Matrix, it's we don't have to believe in this stuff. I know a lot of us and a lot of leftists are atheists, not necessarily spiritual. I myself am spiritual. We don't have to believe in this stuff. What we have to acknowledge though is that there seems to be a lot of evidence to suggest that these people at the top, they seem to believe in it, and they're adding these symbols all over the belly of the beast, the District of Columbia, and
mm-hmm.
it's been there for what is it now? The 2 centuries and a half. How old is the United States? Right.
Yeah,
Um, and then
not
you
too
see
good.
similar things like that in like the Vatican and all that, but I'm not too deep into that rabbit hole. I'm just saying this is something to take notice of and look further into.
Yeah, I used to I used to work at a I used to work at a bookstore in L.A. When I lived there, and I would they had this thing where like employees could check out books, right? So you could, you know, if you I would always be in the they called it speculation, but it was right next to the nonfiction section. So you'd get I get some nonfiction books, you know, some biographies and stuff, but then I'd peek over and be like, oh, what's this? And I was just I don't know if I really take stock in a lot of that stuff because I'm not like down the rabbit hole like, you know, people who are in the know that studied all this stuff. Like there's all kinds of different conspiracy type stuff. I say conspiracy, but only because it actually they do involve more than one person. You know, a lot of these stories that, you know, and so yeah, I kind of got into that a little bit, and then but I was kind of that way when 9/11 happened because I watched that whole thing the whole day, like them showing showing like they would the planes going into the buildings and then the buildings collapsing, and then building 7 was just like wasn't hit, but oh, that's got to go too, you know. So you start, that's the part of my brain that's the curious part that like your spider sense that says, you know what, something's not quite right about this, and the official story really isn't convincing me that well, you know what I mean? So it started there, and but I wasn't I live in New York now, but I wasn't in New York at the time. I was living down south. So I get to LA and I start reading about all this stuff, and I listen to a lot of Jason Burmis, the his 9/11 videos that he did, and Loose Change. That's what they were. I watched those Loose Change videos, and it was he wasn't trying to sway anybody. He was just throwing that information out there. And if you're just somebody that's like picks up on common sense, and so yeah, it was. I didn't when we went to Washington. I was not. It was the '80s, and I didn't know anything about all that shit. You know, I was just happy. Like I said, it was a school trip. Good to be out of Mississippi. Go up to Yankeeville and, you know, see all the Yankees. And but now I want to take my girl down there to DC, and, you know, just kind of go looking around. Not all the tourist traps, but like all the cool little conspiracy type places. You know, check out the symbols and stuff like that. Because I don't know. You know, maybe,
and the positions too.
Right. And the
what is a certain way?
The pentagram street. What is it, like a thing, and it looks like a pentagram? Yeah, you know. And they say, oh, it's not a pentagram because the thing doesn't go. And it's like, close enough.